The strength of a nation's currency is fundamentally tied to the strength of that nation's economy, and without a doubt, the American economy has consistently been the world's strongest. The US dollar, as the global reserve currency, dominates international trade and financial markets. But its journey to this position has been shaped by a series of historical events and economic strategies. After World War II, the United States emerged as the world's largest economy. In the aftermath of the war, while many other countries were focused on rebuilding their economies, the United States remained stable. It was this stability that made the US dollar the currency of choice across the world. The question is, how did this happen, and what does the future hold for the American dollar? In the years following World War II, the US dollar's influence became increasingly apparent. Its association with the world's largest and most diversified economy made it a preferred choice for international trade and finance. This economic interdependence between the United States and the world had far-reaching consequences, with fluctuations in the US economy affecting global financial markets and, in turn, the lives of billions of people. The Federal Reserve's decisions on interest rates and the performance of the US economy had ripple effects across the globe. It's important to understand how the US dollar became so powerful and the strategies employed by US presidents that granted America unparalleled influence over the global economy. The narrative starts in the 1940s, and the world had already witnessed the upheavals of two world wars. The British Empire, once the superpower, saw its wealth decline significantly. By 1920, the British economy was in dire straits, with a massive debt burden. Meanwhile, the United States, cunningly, capitalized on these global conflicts. The U.S. first became a major supplier of goods during World War I, selling a variety of products to warring nations. When World War II broke out, the United States adopted a similar strategy. They profited from the wars by providing supplies, and it was only after the attack on Pearl Harbor that the U.S. actively participated in World War II. This approach allowed the United States to experience an economic boom while other countries were grappling with the devastation caused by the wars. By the end of World War II, the U.S. had accumulated a significant amount of gold reserves. In 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement was signed, involving 44 countries that agreed to peg their currencies to the US dollar, which, in turn, was backed by gold. This was a significant move, as it created a stable framework for international trade and finance. Countries could trade in US dollars with confidence, knowing that the currency was redeemable for gold. Additionally, the agreement led to the establishment of organizations like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which provided financial assistance to war-ravaged nations. The Bretton Woods Agreement sealed the importance of the US dollar and gave the United States a significant edge in global affairs. It marked the first phase of the American dollar's dominance as the world's primary reserve currency. This shift in the global economic landscape set the stage for the dollar's ascent to power. Now, as we delve into the second phase of the US dollar's rise to dominance, we'll explore the strategic connection between the dollar and the oil industry and how it further solidified the dollar's position on the world stage. The second phase of the US dollar's journey to becoming the most powerful currency in the world is closely tied to the petrodollar system. This phase emerged in the post-World War II era, where the United States, alongside Russia and Britain, was focused on battling Germany, Italy, and Japan. While these global superpowers were entrenched in warfare, the Arabian Peninsula, particularly Saudi Arabia, was relatively untouched by the conflict, and a significant discovery was looming beneath its desert sands: oil. During the 1930s and 1940s, American and British companies were pioneering the oil industry, possessing both the technological expertise and the global reach to extract and distribute this valuable resource. In 1938, an American-owned oil well in Saudi Arabia made a monumental discovery: a vast reserve of oil. However, at that time, Saudi Arabia was far from being a wealthy nation, as it had only recently started producing oil. The situation changed when Italy, during World War II, targeted American facilities in Saudi Arabia. This not only disrupted oil production, but also revealed the vulnerability of Saudi Arabia to external threats. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt saw a unique opportunity that could shape the future of global economics. In 1945, he struck a historic deal with the Saudi king. The U.S. offered protection and military equipment to safeguard Saudi Arabia and, in exchange, asked Saudi Arabia to sell its oil exclusively in U.S. dollars. This seemingly unremarkable agreement became the cornerstone of the petrodollar system, a monumental shift in global finance. Saudi Arabia, with the world's largest oil reserves, began selling oil exclusively in U.S. dollars. As other oil-exporting countries followed suit, the petrodollar system was established. This meant that to purchase oil, countries needed U.S. dollars, further bolstering the dollar's global dominance. The connection between oil and the dollar created a significant demand for U.S. currency. Nations worldwide needed to accumulate reserves of U.S. dollars to facilitate their energy imports. The dollar was not just a medium of exchange. It was now a vital commodity in itself, deeply intertwined with the world's energy needs. The petrodollar system provided the United States with a tremendous advantage, as it essentially ensured a constant global demand for its currency. In the 1960s, OPEC formed. Oil-exporting nations traded exclusively in U.S. dollars, strengthening the dollar's global dominance. The third phase, beginning in the early 1970s, saw the end of the Bretton Woods Agreement. President Richard Nixon suspended the dollar's convertibility into gold, making it a fiat currency dependent on global utility and acceptance.
Dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
The SWIFT network and widespread use of the dollar in global trade solidified the U.S.'s superpower status. The dollar's centrality in cross-border transactions and its role as the choice for foreign exchange reserves reinforced its position. U.S. Treasury bonds became the preferred investment for countries with surplus dollars, giving the U.S. access to substantial funds, enhancing its global influence. In summary, the American dollar's ascent to the world's most powerful currency results from historical events, economic strategies, the petrodollar system, and the SWIFT network. Its dominance shapes politics, trade, and global stability, making it a pivotal force in the modern world.